Again, thanks everybody for coming today to this Douglas County Administrative Services Committee briefing on the public safety bond issue that was approved on November 8th by the voters overwhelmingly. I'd like to introduce the Douglas County Board of Commissioners who are here today. Our Chairman, Mary Ann Borgeson, P.J. Morgan, Mark Kraft, Claire Duda. Is there another commissioner? Okay. And we have a collection of elected officials and department heads here. I'd like to introduce John Ewing. John, would you join us up at the table, John? Douglas County Treasurer, who is a integral part of what we're going to do with the Douglas County West Campus offices. Dan Esch, Douglas County Clerk Comptroller, who has been very instrumental in getting the word out on the bond issue. Thanks, Dan, for all your hard work on speaking to community groups. John as well worked tirelessly to inform the public of the benefits of the public safety bond issue. And I'd like to thank the citizens group that was formed. Perry Nealon, who kind of honchoed that for us. And Perry, would you come up for a second? I'd like to publicly thank you and your committee for the important work that you did. You want to introduce yourself?
Appreciate it, yeah. Perry Nealon, thanks everyone. Appreciate the opportunity. Kind of helped move things along, but it was because of an outstanding steering committee that we had. We were able to put together Steve LeClaire, head of the Omaha Professional Firefighters, co-chaired with Doug Kagan from the Taxpayers Foundation, which was critical to our success to have such broad support between union, taxpayers, businesses, and individuals. If I could just take a minute, Trevor Toohey from Firefighters was also very important to us. FOP Lodge 2, FOP Lodge 8, Douglas County Fire Chiefs Association. We had members that I made meet at least bi-weekly in person, so their Thursday afternoons back, and constantly by email to help guide the effort. Bob Campos is also here, who was on our steering committee. Emiliano Lerda was a big part of this as well. Tony Cosiva from Motorola, and Dakota Smith was an important volunteer for us and also brought aboard the Omaha Realtors Association. My right hand in executing this was Dacia Cruz, who could not be here today, but I'll make sure she gets recognized as well. I'm not afraid to tell you, we had a good list of donors. We had a great story to tell to improve the public safety of Douglas County. We just needed resources to tell it. And so Tracy Lawrence had a song that said, "You find out who your friends are." And I say, we call them and ask them for $10,000. So, very proud that we had support from philanthropist Rhonda Hawks, Omaha Professional Firefighters, Omaha Area Board of Realtors, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cox Communications, FOP Lodge 8, and then individual contributions from Bob Campos again, Lisa Davis, and Dick Davis were here. So it was a broad base of support, and we're proud to bring it to a successful conclusion.
Well, thanks, Barry. I know that Bev Wright's here.
Bev Wright's was our treasurer. I'm sorry.
Come up. And Matt Lewis from FOP 8 was a big supporter of this, and we're going to be doing work down in his shop at Douglas County Corrections. But we can't thank the first responder community enough. Steve LeClaire and the Omaha Professional Firefighters, Matt, you and the corrections workers, police and fire, first responders from across the county came forward and helped us carry the message to the public that what we're doing here is good for all of us. When we're done with this, Douglas County will be a better and safer place to live, and that was the mission. Thank you, private citizens that came forward and your own time and your own money and your own efforts helped us carry the message far and wide. So thank you all. Thank you. Okay. Well, there it is. Any questions? We have I think all the stakeholders here that are going to walk us through the components of this, and hopefully, if we move expeditiously, we will get everybody out of here in time for lunch. So what you see before you is the Douglas County offices on the West Campus, which will be totally redone and repurposed to allow us to house a new state-of-the-art 911 center and to carry forward some much-needed modernization and consolidation of county administrative functions. Overseeing this effort has been, this is not anything new, we've been working on this for years, literally. Jerry Leahy from Douglas County Public Properties, our Public Properties Director, and Jerry is going to walk us through a preliminary document. I don't know if you've all got this, but we have available here, would you grab those please? Kind of an overview that was prepared by Ellie Pointer to give you a look, and many of you have seen this already, give you a look of what this thing's going to look like going forward, and the stages that are generally going to be aspired to in terms of timelines. So Jerry, if you could join us up here and we'll begin the briefing. Jerry's going to go through kind of the overview, and then we'd like to have John Ewing talk to us particularly about his important contribution to this overall effort, because unlike pretty much any other elected official participating in this, John's component actually contributes money to the operation. We will realize real savings, and I'll let John address that. But I got to hand it to John Ewing and his staff at the Treasurer's Office, Tim Cavanaugh and others, who've worked tirelessly to make this a reality and save the county literally millions of dollars. So Jerry, would you kick it off?
Thank you. Obviously, when you have 4 departments that are going to go into this facility, it makes a lot of sense to me to select one of the officials of those 4 who's an elected official to kick us off with a comment on your operations for your treasurer's branch.
Okay.
So just, John, if you have a few comments to make.
Sure. Well, first of all, I would like to thank the citizens of Douglas County as well for approving this very important bond issue. Thank you to the county board for their partnership in this effort, and to Jerry Leahy, who in my opinion is the epitome of a public servant. We look forward to working with our state partner, the DMV, and other county offices, as well as Al and Chris, as we put this plan together. What we're looking at with our contribution to this effort is saving over $2 million over the 20-year life of the bond issue. So that'll be real money that will go back to paying for this particular project. This location is also more favorable for the citizens of Douglas County geographically. We will also be able to have increased treasurer's office services such as a drive-through window, the potential for new revenue sources with the Department of Motor Vehicles as they potentially look at housing a freestanding facility there where they would be leasing that from the county, as well as the potential for expanded hours, looking at putting self-service kiosks in as part of this project, as well as a queuing system to better serve the citizens of Douglas County and our customers. I'd rather have them go online or use the telephone to be in line versus standing in line. So we're looking at that technology where they will be able to get their place in line and be notified either online or over the telephone on when they should come into the office. We also work with public safety, with Homeland Security and law enforcement on a number of occasions to assist with identification of individuals and vehicles. So we believe this is a great fit for this project, and we're excited to get started.
Thanks, John. Just like to mention the other 3. I think you're all aware that we have environmental services, which will be surplusing their building and moving into the property out of 156, and obviously the 911 center, because of space situations and equipment situations, will move from the law enforcement center to Fitzgerald property. Patrick, if you could enlighten us a little bit about the 911 communication portion.
Okay, well, we had put together a PowerPoint we've gone through a couple of times previously, so I'm just gonna kind of refer to that. There's approximately, or there is $2.8 million for the purchase of emergency communications radios for the sheriff, rural law enforcement agencies, and the Douglas County Correctional Center. And those are gonna replace radios that Motorola will no longer support in 2018. So for all intents and purposes, those radios will be obsolete in 2018 and have to be replaced. There's approximately $8.5 million for radio infrastructure utilized by all first responders in the county. Includes 160 replacement base stations that are at the 7 power sites throughout the county. The accessory equipment, including antennas and lines that have to be changed, and without this upgrade, law enforcement and fire will lose the capability for real-time emergency communication. There's some other equipment, $600,000 for operators and dispatch consoles, $300,000 for servers, routers, and data storage for 911 records and equipment. There's some other equipment that was talked about for the city, and that would include the approximately $2 million for a fire station alerting system, because that old alerting system has become, it's not dependable anymore. It will go down from time to time, and it definitely needs to be changed out. And then the city has said that they are in need of some flares for their helicopters, forward-looking infrared systems, so approximately $800,000 for that.
Thank you. The other department that will be in the building will be the emergency management division. It's behind you, Paul Johnson. There you go. Just kind of a recap. He is in the Civic Center right now, sea level, and is in dire need of additional space. This puts him back out there with his partners, if you will, Sheriff's Department, 911, and he actually has equipment out there right now. So he actually would leave here, go out to 156 during perhaps a tornado or a flood or whatever. So this gets him out there where he should be. He can be anywhere, but it's better to be out there with the partners, law enforcement, 911. So, Paul, thanks.
Thanks, Jerry.
So now I think we'll just kind of move on to the quick program we've got for you here. The first page of FT Flip covers obviously kind of the recap of the previous work, and that includes out of 156 in Maple, that includes the development of the west wing of the Fitzgerald property for CSI. It also included at that time a vehicle impound lot, which was much needed by the sheriff. And just a footnote to that, all of that west wing and that development was paid for by the forfeiture funds, and that's how we got into the development of the property. We stalled a little bit with the economy in 08, and there was a way to do it, and we did it, and we're thankfully now able to move on and develop the remainder of the building. So you can kind of glance through that, if you have any questions, and talk about that later. The next slide is a recap of the previous work that we've discussed, the square footage summaries for the different divisions. We've all been through this several times, but we should notice that these are the various square footages for the development of the property. Now, very important part of this project is the architects who have been patiently awaiting for a few years to get to work. Now we have the good news that we can move forward, and that's why we're here today. This was a partnership back in 08 or 09 of Ellie Pointer and Kettle, along with a partnership with Carlson and Provanda. This is Al Provanda, very integral part of our process. This is Chris Jansen from Ellie Pointer. So I'm going to just touch a little bit on that page about what Jeff and I are doing right now. We literally did kick this off the Monday after the election, the 14th of November, in a discussion anyway, to get prepared for today. And we knew from the beginning that we were going to take on the responsibility of removing the asbestos and doing the abatement in that property long before we go out for bids for general contractors. We've done it before. We've done it down at Criminal Justice Center. We did it at the West Wing. It's much better. It's out of there. You don't have a general contractor with a subcontractor saying, can't go in there, there's asbestos. No, it's going to be removed. It'll be monitored by public properties, which is another good point that I need to make. In the past, large bond projects for the county board always selected a construction manager. Well, about 7 years ago, we eliminated that. We've got Jeff McGill, so we don't have to go seek out. And believe me, Jeff works not only for us, but for the taxpayers. So with that, the second part of my county portion is that we're going to do an RFP for architect and engineering services for the corrections portion. And that's different than what we've done out west. So we'll be sending out an RFP probably by the end of this month to the various firms. The way it works, there is an architect and engineering committee. They send their proposals back to us. As a committee, we meet, we evaluate, and we take it down to 3 or 4 firms, bring them in for interviews, and then select. Then it goes to the county board. So let me turn this over to Chris, because she's got some items that have already taken place, and you know, we're trying to, I mean, we are off and running on this project since November 8th.
Thanks, Jerry. And Chris, just 1 second before we get there, I overlooked, or I didn't see him, Commissioner Rogers is here with us as well. So you've got, I think, 6 out of the 7 commissioners here joining us today. And I know that you folks have worked on this for literally years and have done great work for us. And Jerry, I got to commend you and your staff for overseeing this long and torturous process that is finally coming to fruition. So thanks a lot for all your help and professionalism throughout. Thank you.
Well, you know, I've had great people to work with out of this facility. The sheriff, for example, Sheriff Dunning, obviously John Ewing, Treasurer Ewing, and the county board. I mean, everybody's been, you know, tuned in, and they've asked a lot of questions.
It's been a real team effort, I know.
Yeah.
Chris, why don't you
So
take it away? We're trying to move this thing forward as quickly as possible, so
Will do.
let us know.
Chris?
Will do. Well, we have really hit the ground running on this one. We've already been out and have begun field measuring and verifying the existing plan. Things have changed over the years that we've been involved with it, so we just want to make sure we've got everything right down pat. We're also finalizing our consultant team. Those are the other engineers that will be involved in the project. And we're engaging a land surveyor to do a survey, civil survey of the entire site. When we did phase 1, we were in a very concentrated area, and now we're expanding out quite a bit into the site. We'll be doing parking lots and geothermal wells out there too, so we'll have the civil survey done. And then we're also starting the geotechnical and conductivity testing on the site, and that's just to tell us what the soils are like and how we need to design the geothermal well system that will serve the entire building. So whatever soils you have make a difference on how heat is transferred. And then we're scheduling programming meetings with all of the user groups to just nail down that program that we've worked so hard on, and we'll start those meetings after Thanksgiving.
So we're moving right along.
We are.
These are gonna be repetitive and they're in the handout. These are the conceptual drawings from 2 years ago. And that's where the reprogramming will come in the interviews with the 4 departments. So I think we'll just kind of go.
We've got them on the back here too, Jim.
Okay, yeah, Jeff can flip those. So let me back up. We've got the garden level with 911. We've got a lot of equipment down there. And then you'll see some areas that are mechanical, plumbing, et cetera, on that floor. That'll all be part of the geothermal system. Will be located there. And maybe some areas up on top. Then the other is the administration portion of 911, and then the actual center, which is where the space crunch came in the original building. And this is where we'll have the DMV and the treasurer, and then some future expansion down the road. Second floor, we'll have environmental services, and across from them will be emergency management, and the remainder will be for the future expansion out at the property. And hopefully, I think it'll happen that will fill up rather quickly after they see it. Yeah, and when we do all these things, it's our anticipation that we're gonna be on budget and on time. And now I'm gonna turn over the schedule for the work to Al Provando.
Thank you, Jerry. As Jerry mentioned and Chris mentioned, we've hit the ground running. We're doing our setup tasks currently. We were out there. We're out there field measuring the remaining portion of the building. Obviously, we've done the west wing. This is a building that is an historic building, and LA Pointer is maybe the best firm in Omaha as far as restoring historic structures, and have done a great job on the west wing, and so that's an integral part of the project. The other integral part of the project is to make this an energy efficient building far into the future, and Chris mentioned geothermal. The other thing is we have a emergency operation 911 center here, so storm resistance for that portion of the building is also going to be part of our tasks. Chris reminded me how long ago we started this. It's been almost 9 years since we interviewed for this project. And over that time, we have done a lot of iterations of the building. We've actually done room design layouts, very detailed design. And so we have that background to fall on. On the third item, space programming meetings. We intend to spend the month of December re-interviewing all the departments to make, hopefully any minor adjustments that happened since the passage of time. I think the last detailed drawings we have done have been about 3 years ago, and so we just want to be sure that adjustments that have happened over the time with the departments, we will accommodate those. Following that, getting into the 3 design phases, into winter and spring of next year, and bidding. We're trying to time this as the weather changes for the better, and then have a construction period. We have, as you can see in the occupancy, the last bar chart, we have the ability potentially to move some departments in as we accomplish portions of the building earlier than others. So it's an aggressive schedule. It is able to be aggressive because of our background over the last 8 or 9 years in developing the project, and certainly if anyone has any questions about our timeline,
Al, thank you for that, and thanks to Ally Pointer for their excellent work on this. I know that you two have devoted long and hard hours, and we appreciate your work and the level of professionalism. As Jerry indicated, we're committed to bringing this in on time, on budget, and with the highest quality construction available. And I think with Ally Pointer on the job, we'll be able to achieve all three of those goals. As you can see, and as John Ewing mentioned, the occupancy will be phased in as portions of the facility become complete. We have the ability to move people in. It won't be moving day for everybody all at once. And so what we're hoping to do is coincide with John's current lease, and this will capture some of the savings that John and the Treasurer's Office is going to generate to help this package financially. To put them in here hopefully by mid-2018 on the front end, but we will have it staged in terms of occupancy over, as you can see, a period of months. In the end of 2018 and by the beginning of 2019, it should be mission accomplished. We also have another venue that we are renovating, which is the Douglas County Correctional Center. If I could call on Dr. Mark Foxall to come up and present us with the Douglas County Corrections Center portion of this. Our Douglas County Corrections Center Director, Dr. Mark Foxall, has worked long and hard with Jerry Leahy and the Public Properties folks to develop much needed and long overdue upgrades to our correctional facility, which is the largest, and we like to think the best correctional facility in the state of Nebraska. And in order to continue to provide that high level of correctional services, which we do to the community, long overdue deferred maintenance projects need to be incorporated into this project. And this was one of the new things that we looked at in terms of moving forward in 2016 that is a little different than what was proposed actually in the 2014 offering. But I think that once Dr. Foxall explains to you the scope of these, you'll see that this is going to be an important component of the overall public safety bond. Dr. Foxall.
Good afternoon, everyone. Like Treasurer Ewing, I'd like to thank the public and private partners that were instrumental in moving this bond along. I'd also like to thank Sergeant Matt Lewis, who's president of the FOP Lodge 8, for his support of this particular initiative, which Commissioner Kavanaugh indicated we're the largest correctional facility in the state. We are a 1,453 bed facility. The oldest of the three phases of construction that we have, it's hitting about 40 years old. So it's hitting, it's getting to be a quite old facility, but it's very busy. And we have all of our housing units open right now. So the bond issue for us touches on all three phases of the construction at the Douglas County Department of Corrections. The 1978 construction will see new doors in 4 different housing units. I think that's critically important for the safety of the staff there and the safety and well-being of the inmates there as well. It's also going to provide for exterior cell windows, replacement of exterior cell windows, deteriorating plumbing, fire suppression equipment, which is sorely needed, HVAC units and controls like heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. It's going to replace the lightings in the day rooms also and the hallway areas. And as you can tell, for public safety purposes, lighting is critically important to the mission of what we do at the Department of Corrections. Sewer line replacement is also going to be a critical component of this particular bond issue in the 1978 phase or construction phase of our facility. Also, the annex was added to the 1978 construction in 1988, so that's going on almost 30 years old. We are going to replace deteriorating plumbing in that facility. We're going to replace interior windows which are clouded or scratched. The staff can't see through those windows. Another public safety issue for our staff and the visitors alike and the inmates. Also, we're going to replace exterior windows. We're also going to replace and upgrade the lighting in the annex facility, and we're also going to replace deteriorating masonry in that annex facility as well. Moving on to the newest construction of the facility, and that's 2004, so that's about 12 years old now. We're going to replace interior windows in housing units, replace interior rusting window frames in shower areas. It's a newer facility, but that part of the facility has gotten constant use since its opening in 2004, so those issues need to be attended to as well, and the bond will realize those efforts also. So again, I think this is a really important project for us. I think it speaks to the need to be constantly vigilant with respect to the safety and well-being of our staff and the safety and well-being of the inmates who reside in that facility.
Thank you, Mark.
That's kind of the 30,000 foot overview of what we're trying to accomplish on the building side. There's a whole nother aspect of this which will be addressed by the Finance Committee relative to the finance side. But we have with us today Tyler Mullen from our bond counsel at Barrett Home, and Bruce Leffler, Senior Vice President of Emeritus Investments, who will handle the bond offering for us. And we appreciate you folks coming in and just briefly outline for us the timeline on the financing of the bond issue. You should have, and Patrick, you could pass around
Catherine's making more copies.
timelines that they supplied to us. And this will be, again, gone into in much more detail over time by the Finance Committee chaired by Commissioner Morgan and Commissioner Boyle. But we just thought to give it a holistic treatment here today, we'd give you a quick overview. So, gentlemen.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Kavanaugh. So the county voted for voted to approve $45 million in public safety bonds. We've heard about these great projects. The question is, how do we pay for them? When do we get our money? So in the beginning of December, we will, in conjunction with Emeritus, start drafting an offering document and a draft bond resolution. We'll take those documents and send them to the rating agency, hopefully around mid-December, and we'll work with them. We usually have a lot of correspondence, email, and conference calls throughout the second half of the month of December, or to get a rating on these bonds. And experience tells us we would get a rating back in the beginning part of 2017. And at that point, we would be in a position where the county could approve the bond resolution in the middle part of January. At that point, Emeritus would market the bonds to do a public offering with the preliminary official statement that we've worked on in conjunction with the county, and ideally that we would sell the bonds towards the end of January, with the goal of closing, having the county having access to the funds middle of February, first part of March.
And if I could, just for a moment, from a marketing perspective, as Tyler mentioned, the key to this is getting all the paperwork in place so that you have the opportunity and flexibility to get into the market. It may not be right at the middle of January. Maybe we may decide to wait a week or two from that standpoint, but this is to get the paperwork in place. The county currently enjoys a AAA rating from both Standard & Poor's and Moody's, which is the highest bond rating that you can get, and reflects the operations of the county and the steadfast workmanship that the county board does to make sure everything operates on a fine basis and its financial impact to the district. So we would anticipate a very attractive bond offering at that particular point in time with AA rated bonds, both by Standard & Poor's and Moody's. So again, we would anticipate from the standpoint of looking at that project and having funds on hand that by the end of February to the middle part of March, the bond issues would be settled and funds be on hand for monies that will already have been spent, I think, by that time. So thank you. All right.
So if you put all that together, I hope you have a complete package of documents. You can see that it does dovetail nicely, and this is due to the planning, strategic planning of the county and of our private partners. It's also due to the hard work of the citizens who stepped up when we needed them to help us get the bond approved, and we again, thank you and appreciate your hard work out there on the hustings to help us get the, I think it was over 70% approval rating for this bond issue in the last election. We are committed to making the trains run on time on this project, and that includes this meeting. So I said at the outset that we try to get everybody to lunch. It's 11:45 now. We have a brief window here if we have some questions. If not, we certainly are available for individual comments going forward. This is not going to be the last you hear about the bond issue. I know that there's a robust schedule of Finance Committee meetings coming up where they will discuss in much more detail the bond issue that you just heard outlined. There's also going to be public meetings held by the entire Douglas County Board of Commissioners at every key stage of this to approve contracts and resolutions needed to go forward. So that said, I'd be happy to briefly entertain any questions that you may have. If not, we appreciate you coming, and you certainly would be welcome to come and tour the facilities. I know that Dr. Foxall is open and welcome to the public coming. I believe one of your stations was recently down there for a tour of the Douglas County Correctional Facility. And I know that Mr. Leahy enjoys taking people through the crown jewel of the Douglas County West Campus, which is going to be really an outstanding facility once we get it up and running. So thank you for coming. Any questions? This is great. Oh, Mark.
I know. I want a quick question.
Commissioner Kraft.
Are we going to have windows that will open for fresh air circulation should it be needed? A discussion came up during the board meeting today about 2 buildings and some air quality issues. So that's fresh on my mind.
The short answer is I don't know. The long answer is you are more than welcome to join the design committee in the development of that issue. I don't know that we want windows that open at the correction center so much. But I understand your concern. I understand your concern, and we'll get you an answer on that. Anyone else?
Commissioner Chairman. During design and construction, how frequently will costs and spending be monitored or reported?
It'll be very carefully monitored and reported by our record keeper, clerk, Ash, who actually posts these documents, I believe, on the county's website. Is that right?
Yeah, it'll probably have its own fund like the other bonds or debt service does right now. And we'd show as the year goes, it's posted every week, and you'd see what's been taken out or how much of it's been used throughout the entire year.
Will that correlate to completion of the project as well during the project?
I'm sorry, Jeff, you'd be familiar with PIMOPs. Those, as they are processed through our office, they'll go down to the clerk's office for viewing. The public, but you know how it works. When you get X number % completed, and they submit an invoice, and we go through it very much in detail, along with these folks.
In past projects, we've had it reported at the county board as we go through, and that's pretty much what we'll do again.
Okay. Every month or so? Or,
Good question. Anyone else? I just want to point out one last thing. We had a lot of public and private partnership on this, and a lot of private citizens stepped up, but few were as altruistic as my friend Bob Campos, who lives in Sarpy County, and joined our committee and made a substantial contribution. So Bob, from across the border, thank you very much. All right, folks, well, that's a wrap, and we look forward to talking to you all again real soon on the progress of this important project in the future.